Hi, I'm Kevin from Hudson Engineering. I was doing a quick video today on a repeated issue that we're seeing more and more of in relation to the overhaul of the SU carburettors fitted to the Aston Martin DB5, DB6 in triple form. Originally, the carburettor bodies with the spindle, this is a throttle spindle, and that's a throttle butterfly. The spindle passes through the carburettor. The spindle sits into that slot there and operates inside the carburettor. Now, what was inside the carburettor body originally was there was like a nylon bushes to stop the play and to reduce the play, sorry, in the spindle. Those bushes generally wear out, and you replace them by pushing another like a spiral type bush. Now, you can't use those anymore because of the ethanol in the petrol. So they now have a later style bush, and it's a metal bush like so. And it fits into the carburettor body, and the spindle operates on that bush. But what you have to do is to fit this bush, you have to ream you have to open out the carburettor body. So what we're seeing more and more of is carburettors that have been overhauled, and each of the bushes or each of the spindle bores on each side have been drilled or reamed. But what tends to happen, what we're seeing is when these are drilled from one side and then turned around to the other side, they don't line up. So what you end up with is actually a tight spindle in the housing. But not only is the spindle sort of tight, it's off center because the bores are off center. There's excessive play in the spindle. So what happens is when you have a series of carburettors that are joined together by linkages, as the DB5 and DB6 is with three carburettors, it makes synchronization very difficult because you're trying to synchronize these throttle spindles with a series of linkages and ball joints. Now, if the spindle is worn and the bush is worn with excessive play, it's always pulling up and it's not actuating in the same fashion as it would do if it had a nice fit. So what we do is we have a series of reamers that actually allow us to set the carburettor body up in the mill, and we can set up perfectly parallel and ensure that the carburettor, the bores within inside the carburettor are perfectly parallel to each other, front and back, side to side and up and down. Then what we do then with the series of reamers, we open up that hole with some special tooling. This is one of the reamers that we use here, and this reamer can actually pass through both sides, so it's cutting both of the bores at the same time. Now, what that does is it enables the spindle bushes to be then pushed back in, and they're perfectly parallel with each other, so you get a lovely fit, and there's no play in there at all. So they're about as good as they can be. And if you are thinking about getting your carburettors overhauled, or you want to do them at home, just be really conscious of that, because you can turn what is actually quite a simple job into something that can be quite problematic. This is a carburettor that's been overhauled previously by a carburettor specialist, apparently, and the bushes on this, the holes had been drilled or reamed separately from one side to the other. The bushes pushed in, but the bushes were slack and they were completely off center. So what happened is, when the carburettor was all built up, looking as nice as it does, there was still excessive play. That's exaggerated there because I have actually opened the bore out, but there was play like so. So what we can do is, this carburettor has been set up in the machine. We've bored out both the spindle bores, we turn and make oversized bushes. Then we press the new steel backed bush into that bush, into the housing. So we're not running brass on brass, and it is as it should be. And that's the best way to do this. And my advice would be, if you're going to have your carburettors overhauled and you do need to change the bushes to the modern type, make sure they're done on a machine and machined together as a pair and not independently. So should you want any more advice on carburettors or Aston Martin engines in general, please have a look at our website at astonenginebuilders.com, or pick up the phone and give us a call, and we'll be happy to speak to you.